there was one about March. We were walking around, and all of a sudden, he was wearing the Adidas slide shoes, and his heels were about this far off his back. And I looked and I said, "What the heck? Your shoes don't fit." He's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "No, your shoes." It's just part of Spain, near Madrid. Okay. Somewhere in Madrid. So we started in school in the fall, 2 years, sort of a pre-college program in Madrid. It's an academic and athletic program. Basically, I saw a song on Facebook very long talk about that. It was like August. And it was like, so you were like, I haven't considered that. But one of my kids was 15 years Spain to see play soccer, and Evan's obsessed with soccer, trying to teach them Spanish. I felt like this type of academic child across the world was excited about this opportunity. Wasn't really good at sitting, and then I just weird like that. And I sort of underestimated it always fun to go in space and we're just not very smart.
Thank you, Sandy, for that beautiful start to our time together this morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Mary Ann O'Dowd, and I am your service leader today. And let us begin our time here with gratitude and recite our welcoming greeting together. The community welcome is printed in your order of service. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you. In this place, there is room for your questions, your stories, your laughter, your doubt, your grief, and your most authentic self. We aspire to be a community of unconditional love, and we welcome you. Welcome. If you haven't already done so, please silence your devices. And it's our custom at this time to extend a special welcome to those who may be visiting us for the first time or for the first time in a while. And if you're comfortable doing so, please stand up and introduce yourself so we can give you that special welcome. We can start over here at my right. Hi.
My name is Liz. It's my first time here, and I was born and raised in Ephraim, lived just down the hill on North Coral, and I'm just pleased to be here.
Welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Susan Perry, and I'm just visiting from the UU Church in Quad Cities.
Oh, welcome. Please, everybody stand. We'll start right here. No.
Oh, I just have to brag.
Oh, you brought people.
My niece and nephew from California are here with me, and they brought their wonderful spouses, and they can say their names. I'm so delighted to be with them today.
Wonderful.
I'm Chris.
I'm Megan.
Brandon.
Emily.
Hi, welcome.
And I'm Julie Putman, member of the Fox Valley community, and I'm with Christina and Mike.
Welcome. All right, well, thanks, everyone. This morning, we are honored to have our guest speaker, Reverend Christina Leone Tracy. She served as the senior minister of the Fox Valley UU Fellowship, and recently, earlier this year, moved into a co-minister role there. You can read more about her in your order of service. And speaking of your order of service, on the back side, there are some announcements that we would like you to give some attention to. And if there are any other announcements that pertain to our fellowship, now is the time when the microphone gets passed around and you can share those announcements.
Peggy Lott, and I'd like to welcome everybody to a wonderful midsummer music concert, which is either next Friday or Saturday night here. Anyone know for sure? Friday. Thanks, Arlene. And so tickets are $5 off if you mention the UU. And it's at 7 o'clock.
Good morning. I'm making an announcement on behalf of SAIL. You've heard me talking about this before. Okay, Senior Advocacy for Independent Living. And we are having a meet and greet at the,
It is.
It's on.
the light's on.
Yeah, just
I
hold
know,
it close.
and I've got it right up here. Oh, well, anyway. And we're having a meet and greet at the Ephraim Village Hall on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So if you'd like to come and visit with members and friends and board members, because we have, as you know, expanded into Ephraim and Bailey's Harbor. And you may have questions, or you want to know who the heck we are. You know, come and visit. And there are flyers like this in the entryway of the fellowship, but I have more in case you want one.
Hi, I'm Jamie Hanready, a member of the congregation. How many here are members already of the 100 Women Who Care charitable giving organization? Anybody? Okay, just wanted to invite you to talk to me about that and perhaps come to our next meeting and hear more about it. And also, members who are here, Buttons and I are meeting for a quick brown bag snack supper before the meeting on Monday, and we hope the rest of you will join us that are already members. Anybody else who's interested?
Nancy Dixon, Jay Dixon. I don't know why he's not talking and I am, but anyway, maybe that's the way it works. This is our 57th wedding anniversary today.
Congratulations.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christina. I'm your guest preacher this morning. And at the congregation I serve in Appleton, we have a tradition of having a lay member give a personal reflection prior to the sermon. And this sermon that I'm giving, Mike was the lay minister the last time I gave this sermon, a version of it. And I said, hey, do you want to come do that again in Door County? And he said, why not? Why not a good trip to Door County? So I just want to introduce Mike. He's going to be speaking, and his wife, Julie, who rescued me this morning because I'm camping in my pop-up camper, and I forgot a professional shirt. So I would have been here in a T-shirt if it weren't for Julie. So thank you.
We welcome all kinds of shirts here. Yes.
I'm not going to get up. I'm Nancy Raffel, and last week I should have gotten up and said, does anybody have a car they can sell me? But a friend of mine over the week said, consider leasing. So in the lot is a blue, what is it? Chrysler Equinox. And I'm driving it, so I'm very happy with that. But everybody that's been so helpful with this reoccurring Lyme disease, giving me rides, taking me places, I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Get my steps in.
Hello, I'm Jeff Maris. Just want to let everybody know that once again I brought some tree seedlings, and so they're out front, and help yourself. The only thing I would ask is if you could bring back the planters or the tubes that were in them at your convenience, that would be great. Thank you.
That's good. Anything else? All right, all right. So let us now begin our service. And I will invite our behind-the-scenes wizard, Sarah McKillop, to light our chalice while I read these opening words, I Breathe, by Craig Rowland. I breathe in the warmth of this light, its glow filling the spaces where fear and doubt reside. I breathe out the tension I carry. I release what no longer serves me. I breathe in the strength of our community, a sanctuary of diverse voices and shared purpose. I breathe out the urge to go it alone. I embrace the power of togetherness. I breathe in the courage to speak truth, even when it trembles on my lips. I breathe out the silence that holds me back. I make space for honesty and justice. I breathe in the hope of transformation, knowing we are here to build and to heal. I breathe out despair, trusting that change is born in small acts of love. As we light this chalice, may we each breathe, may each breath remind us of the sacred rhythm of life, the pulse of creation, and the power we hold to shape the world around us. Thank you, Sarah. Please join in singing the hymn, Ours is a Simple Faith, which is printed in the insert of your order of service. Carol's going to play it through once because this is something we haven't sung in a while, so we'll get refreshed. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. There is no hell to fear, no judgment day near. Trust that your voice you'll hear every day. Life's not a goal or race, it's about heart and faith and living life of grace every day. Just as an open hand, making a honest stand, rooted in the land every day. Living mystery, seeking harmony here between you and me every day. Please remain standing if you are able so that we can recite our unison affirmation and doxology. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. All that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, in every land, by every tongue. Now is the time in the service when you may briefly share a joy that fills your heart or a concern that might weigh heavily on you. And just keep in mind that this is recorded, and if you don't have permission to share news or information about another person, please do not do so. Any joys, concerns?
Hi, I have a great joy that there are so many people that join us on YouTube. And thank you to Sarah, who makes this all possible. It means so much to so many people who've had to move away to live closer to their children or for whatever reason. And I gave a shout out to David in Beaumont, Texas, last week, and I would like to do that again. Hello, David. And if anybody else needs a shout out who we never get to see, just email us and I will do that.
I have a message from Lynn Lees. She fell Friday morning on her front walk and broke her right wrist. Things are under control, or soon will be tomorrow when she sees an orthopedic surgeon, but Right now, she's okay, and I don't recommend a lot of phone calls or anything.
Okay. Dottie.
I would like to thank all of you, and especially those who have volunteered to pick me up on Sunday morning so I could be here with you. And I hope that thank you goes to everybody who has done so. Thank you.
It was my joy to go shopping again this week. For those of you who have been here for many, many weeks, you know that Jane and I are in charge of the food shelf here. And we recently started taking monetary donations for those of you who would prefer not to have to shop. And it was so much money this time, and we were heading to Green Bay, so Costco got your money this last week, and I could get some things that we normally wouldn't buy. After talking with Heidi, who is the person who in charge of Door of Life, she suggested some things that we hadn't thought of. For one thing, it was Ensure. Had never thought about that. So I was able to buy cases of that for them that they will stay in storage and take as they are needed. So once again, I say thank you for your generosity. If you don't like to shop, we will shop for you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Good morning. Phil Freistak. On that note, Cindy, I've been mulling over an idea, and I wonder what you think about this. Shopping is hard, but we have so many people in this room every Sunday. If someone were to bring just one item and anything, just grab something from your pantry, get your car keys, get your purse, and then grab an item, bring it in for the basket, that would help. It's a low energy thing. And it reminded me of this story of this young boy who was walking on the beach, and the tide had gone out, and a bunch of starfish were laying on the beach. And one by one, he was flipping them back in the ocean. And then this old guy comes along and goes, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm helping these guys." He goes, "Look at all these starfish. You can't possibly make a difference." And he's like, "Well, it's make a difference for that guy, and it's making a difference for that guy." So that's the concept. We can make a difference. And it's also a form of protest, saying, okay, they took SNAP away. That's bad, but we can make a difference, even if it's small. And it's a really good feeling inside if you should do that. So, thanks.
I'm Mary Rainsmone, and I'm very sad today because my daughter, just as last week, had her 25th wedding anniversary. However, her husband had asked her for divorce. And she is going through, it's really sad because she can't take the dog with her because she has no yard. Her daughter is off in college. Anyway, she's going through 25 years of marriage. It's a long time to have it be over. She's still in love with him.
Trish Black, this is going to be both a concern and a joy. So we do continue to hold our beloved Judy Broad in our hearts as she walks through this next journey. She had her port put in on Thursday and had a brain scan and met with the immunotherapy education group to learn what this is all about. She goes back on Monday and will have her first infusion. So the joy through all of this is her brain scan came out clear. So that was something that was really concerning for her. So that's a little bit of sunshine in this otherwise sort of dark time for her. So hold her close. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. It is time for the offertory and time to remember that this community exists because we care for it together. Your gifts help sustain the work and the shared spirit that brings meaning to what we do here. So let us now give as we are able in the spirit of generosity and gratitude. And if you're visiting us for the first time, let your presence be your gift. The world is often filled with noise, and silence can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. It is in the quiet that we often hear the most important things. As we continue in this sacred hour, let us pause for a moment of silence and enter that stillness together to prepare for today's speaker. Before Christina takes the podium, I'll invite Mike Yonkers to give a reflection.
Good morning. Just checking on something. My wife Julie and I, whom you've met, live in an apartment that faces a small human-made pond. One of the perks of this lovely view is that we get a chance to see waterfowl. Geese and ducks, but mostly geese, live out their spring and summer lives there. And we brought a friend today as a visual aid. You're going to hear a lot about geese. It's great fun to see the goslings, the little baby geese, emerge, and the attentive parents lead them around in what looks like a solemn parade around the pond. They grow up fast, of course, and when we get closer to autumn, all these geese will take flight to more clement realms, or at least most of them. I read recently that some geese have become so inured to our generosity, inadvertent and on purpose, that they've become full-time residents of our area. In any case, seeing and hearing them in their fantastic V formations that I'm sure you've seen fly overhead at that time in the fall is almost as much fun as watching them raise their young. Now, scientists tell us that those V formations have a purpose. Each goose in flight provides an uplift for the goose that follows it. This allows the entire formation to fly much further than any one bird could do so on its own. And this formation also provides a corrective to any individual goose that leaves the formation. The errant goose quickly feels the drag and resistance of solo flight and quickly returns to the group. We humans can learn a lot about life from the creatures with whom we share this planet. Certainly, the Rabbi Jesus thought so. His parables or teaching stories often use images from the nature he saw all around him. Perhaps the geese we see in our North American environment hold life lessons for us as well. The phrase, "the whole is greater than the sum of its parts," is certainly a commonplace expression, and it does hold some truth for us in our lives. The geese in their V-formation migration are a demonstration of this. The group as a whole provides a dynamic and energy that the individual alone cannot produce. The group provides the lift that enables them to continue to fly on. And continuing the analogy, we consider ourselves in kind of a formation going through life. If we fall out of our group, just like the errant goose, the sudden drop in energy and the drag that the circumstances of life can impose upon us, that can lead us back to our place in the group from which we fell out of. For many of us in UU congregations, it is that sense of a drop in energy and the drag in our lives of going it alone that has led us to this fellowship. We have discovered that when we fly together, we can go farther, and it's a lot more fun. As one of our unofficial UU anthems says, we search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind, and then we come together here to make sense of what we find. Our strength and lift lie in this coming together. But we're also part of a bigger flock and a bigger V formation in our denomination as a whole, the Unitarian Universalist Association, the UUA. The UUA can provide us with direction and resources that we might lack at the local level. And it can be there as our collective voice in speaking to the inequities, violence, and injustices rampant in our world. Our connection and involvement with the UUA can provide us with extra lift as a congregation, and it can help us to go farther in the migration that is our work in making this a better world.
Thank you, Mike. So I remembered the goose. Just forgot a shirt. It's all good. Senator Cory Booker quoted an African proverb at the Democratic National Convention last year. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Some research reveals that this proverb, attributed to an entire continent, is likely not real. But it does echo the social norms of many African cultures, which are collectivist and collaborative rather than individualistic. So without attributing it to a mythical people, let's just take the quote on its face. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In some cases, it is much faster to go alone. Any of us who have ever participated in a group project can tell you that. But in the case of the geese that Mike talked about, sometimes it's not even faster to go alone. The goose at the head of the V formation is bearing the brunt of the majority of the aerodynamic work. And as we know, they take turns so that one goose doesn't have to bear that burden the whole time. But scientists tell us that even that goose gets some benefit from the geese that are following. such that even that goose doesn't want to go it alone. We think they would have a harder time trying to lead the way, but it turns out all those geese following them actually provide some aerodynamic benefit as well. So it's not just the geese in the back that are getting the benefit. Going fast or going far, sometimes it's just better together. A few weeks ago, the largest gathering of Unitarian Universalists that occurs each year happened in Baltimore, Maryland. It is called the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA, General Assembly, GA. We like to shorten everything. I attended GA in person, and my family came with me for the first time ever, my husband and my 2 sons, who are 6 and 9 years old. And in preparation for our experience at the UUA General Assembly, I explained to my husband that GA is like if a business meeting, a megachurch service, a business convention, and a pep rally had a baby. A business meeting, a megachurch service, a business convention, and a pep rally. That about sums it up. That is GA. Now, the primary goal of GA is to do the business of the association. Every congregation, including this one, sends delegates to vote on the business before the association. Budgets, elections of officers, decisions about statements of public witness for social justice, things like that. General Assembly is one of the times that our interconnection is deeply visible. So bear with me for a moment. I'm going to delve into a little religious history, but I promise it will be worth it. Our religious ancestors here in the United States were the Puritans. I know we seem a little different from the Puritans, but they really were. They were our religious ancestors, those people who came from England, and they settled mostly in the Massachusetts area, and they were seeking a new way of doing religious community together. In the mid-1600s, the Church of England issued a big document that was to apply to all of the churches in the empire, including those over here in the colonies. It was called the Westminster Confession. Now, you have to remember that the Puritans were colonists. They were under the king. And they had seen how it had gone for some other colonies when they hadn't been good subjects of the king. The short story is that it hadn't gone well for those colonies. So our ancestors didn't want to make a scene, but they couldn't agree with the Westminster Confession in its entirety. So in 1648, they issued a rebuttal entitled the Cambridge Platform. It reads like a long explanation of boring church governance. But the preamble is essentially a letter back to their brethren in England, confirming that they agree wholeheartedly with everything in the Westminster Confession, except this little matter of church polity. We're just like, it's not a big deal. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal to them. Because in the Church of England, they had priests and bishops, and then on the top, the king. And the Puritans envisioned a flat structure, a flat, non-hierarchical structure for how to organize their churches. That structure became known as congregationalism, that each congregation was entirely independent unto itself to support itself financially, choose their own ministers, make their own decisions, welcome new members, censure wayward members in whatever way they saw fit. That is what they were seeking to create when they came over here. We have this idea that they were seeking religious freedom, some big, deep theological idea. It wasn't theology, it was polity. It was structure. And in fact, they actually inspired the structure of our government. We'll get to that in a minute. But I love this idea. They believed that the Holy Spirit needed space, needed room to move around, and that the Holy Spirit couldn't move around in a hierarchical structure. Side note, Eventually, the king did determine that these wayward colonists needed more oversight. And so they sent a letter saying that they were planning to send over a governor to the colonies. And some historians believe that that anticipatory fear and anxiety is one of the things that contributed to the Salem witch trials. They were so afraid about what was about to happen. People do bad things when they're anxious. Eventually, the Congregationalist churches in the 1800s split. Half became known as Unitarians, half became known as Congregationalists, and later the Congregationalists joined with some others and formed the United Church of Christ, or the UCC. The UCC and the UUA were very, very closely related, and in fact, some people say that UCC stands for Unitarians Considering Christ. They will say that themselves. But we both still have this congregationalist or non-hierarchical structure. Now, there's two very important things to remember about the early Congregationalists. They were not only our religious forebears, they were also the models for which our United States government was eventually established. Low hierarchy, everyone has a voice and a vote, ostensibly, and independent entities, states, self-govern. And here's the most important part. Congregationalism, as described in the Cambridge Platform, did not only insist on freedom, free, independent congregations, it also insisted on interdependence, or cooperation between congregations. The platform explicitly states that churches should offer one another assistance, share ideas and resources, support one another in times of crisis, or if one congregation sees that another congregation is not living up to its values, that they should try to bring them back. The congregations have a responsibility to one another. In that spirit, our UU congregations are also independent. We have our own governing boards, our own budgets, we call our own ministers, or none at all. We make our own decisions. And as such, each UU congregation has its own unique culture and flavor and way of doing things, which is so beautiful and also really annoying if you move across the country and try to find a UU church exactly like the one you just left. It's not going to happen. But we are also interdependent. We are the Unitarian Universalist Association. We have this idea that the UUA exists in Boston. Sometimes I even hear people refer to it as that, like, well, Boston says. But it doesn't exist except for the congregations that make it up. There is no UUA without the congregations. Sure, we've agreed to support one another. We pay money in so that we can support some staff to help each other. But it's just us. It is the entity by which we live out the cooperation called for by our ancestors. Now, back to this year's General Assembly. I'm happy to share that unlike some previous years, there were no big dramatic votes. In fact, no big drama. It's wild how much drama can go down at a General Assembly. It was a pretty chill GA this year, except insofar as it was the first fully hybrid GA. We've been working our way toward hybrid General Assemblies for a while now. And in fact, last year's General Assembly was entirely virtual, and so will next summer's General Assembly be entirely virtual. But every other year, they will hold a physical General Assembly and allow it to be fully hybrid so anyone can participate from afar. The accessibility was echoed throughout the General Assembly, not only in technology, but in so many ways to strive to live out our values of interdependence, equality, equity, and pluralism. There were so many attempts to include everyone, near and far, those with physical or mobility limitations or neurodivergence, those with chemical sensitivities, those who needed an identity caucus or pastoral care to support them after a potentially hurtful gathering. The worship and meeting space had this huge area for kids to play and do activities. There was all these activities set out while adults were meeting or worshiping, which as a parent I found so helpful. That has never been the case at General Assembly. The kids just lay on the floor and are annoyed. For me, these attempts at accessibility and inclusion and interconnectedness, all of them, from hybrid everything to all the other ways that we are trying to live out our values, was our way of saying our independence matters, but our interdependence is also a sacred value. And let me tell you, these attempts at accessibility and inclusion and interconnectedness are not easy. They're not fast. They're not without bumps and wrinkles. Acknowledging multiple perspectives, hearing different opinions, debriefing harm takes time. Having kids present, even in a designated space, it means more noise, more movement. It can be distracting. Creating more physical accessibility for everyone means that those who are more able-bodied might have to walk farther or sit in a different section to accommodate everyone. For those who are included, it feels like, oh, wow, finally. But for those who are accustomed to being included and having their own bodies or experiences or voices centered, these accommodations could feel like a burden. Oh, sure. Now I have to walk all the way up this ramp instead of just having 2 steps right here. Why do we have to describe everyone's appearance in worship services? This is a new thing they do at General Assembly. I get that it helps people who are visually impaired, be more involved in the service, but it takes so much time. Why do we have to share our pronouns? Who cares if the trans people are the only ones who have to do it? Friends, it's not convenient to be inclusive, but it is the right thing. In education and architecture, they call it universal design. If the classroom or the building or the lesson plan are set up so that everyone can participate, it actually benefits everyone. In my child's classroom this past year, the teacher had a wide range of seating options so that the neurodivergent kids, like my own, or those with mobility challenges had a choice for where to do their work. But you know what? Every kid benefited from that. Even a neurotypical kid might feel more comfortable and learn better sitting cross-legged on a beanbag chair. When everyone is included, it is better for everyone. And there are those people in our world and in our society right now who want us to do things more simply, who want to go back to a time where we didn't acknowledge or honor difference, or include people with different abilities or genders, or celebrate love in all forms. There are those who want us to live as if this diversity didn't exist, to make things more expedient or easy or agreeable to a subset of our society. And in doing so, exclude or otherwise harm anyone who doesn't fit that mold. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a vision for a world where everyone flourishes. Everyone. Where everyone can participate and join the conversation and the decision making and celebrate their fullness in the embrace of community. Creating that world means there's always tension. And living into it isn't easy, but we believe it's better that way. That we might have to change the words to a beloved hymn to reduce harm and make it more accessible. It doesn't take away from the past. It simply shepherds that song into the future so more people can enjoy it. We believe that including our children in worship and fellowship means a stronger future for all of us. And celebrating all genders means that none of us has to be trapped by the arbitrary rules of the gender binary. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I can't help but consider the ways that our nation's founders, modeled after our religious ancestors, were striving to live in that tension between independence and cooperation, states' rights and federalism. I listened to a podcast on the drive up here that just so happened to be about this exact tension and how they intentionally didn't answer all the questions at the Constitutional Convention so that we could continue to live into those questions, and why it's so frustrating for us, but it was intentional. Now, the three-branch system of government is not efficient. It's not clear, it's not straightforward, it's often frustratingly slow, but at its best, it balances the needs and wants of the few and the many. Now, when the president in power is someone whose policies I agree with, I wish they could just act without all these hang-ups, checks and balances. But when the president is less agreeable, I give thanks for the layers of independent and interdependent checks and balances, and I pray that they continue to hold. Historically, we religious liberals have leaned heavily toward the independence side of our Congregationalist heritage. We love to talk about being a free faith. Just try to tell our UU congregations that they all need to do something. Go on, try it. Sometimes people ask if Unitarian Universalism is a cult. They've heard that online somewhere. And I tell them that the definition of a cult is when a charismatic leader has a lot of power and individual members lose their autonomy to that leader, which makes me laugh because UUs are the opposite. As a minister, I can tell you I have no such power over the very independent people that I serve. I'd be like, okay, we're all gonna do this. They would just be like, no. But the more we live into the current political and economic landscape that we are living in, the more we realize that our interdependence is just as important. We need one another to take turns at the front of the V formation, to lead and give the rest of us a chance to rest while we continue to move forward. We need to cooperate, not just within our congregations or between our congregations, but with other churches and synagogues and religious communities near and far, and with community groups. I heard you speaking about community groups during your announcements, nonprofits, government entities, anyone who is willing to collaborate to move forward a vision of a world where everyone matters. We have to work together, friends. And it won't be fast, and it won't be particularly efficient. Collaboration is messy. Acknowledging multiple perspectives and opinions is annoying, but it is the true expression of our values. Working together, celebrating and benefiting from the experiences and gifts and strengths of all of us. Sometimes taking the lead, and often, more often than not, following the leadership of others. Taking turns in the journey toward a better world. Our ancestors called for it, and our future depends on it. Amen. May it be so.
Please join in singing hymn 317, We Are Not Our Own. Thank you, Sandy, for the beautiful music to carry us through this morning. And thank you, Christina and Mike. And thank you to everyone who makes this service possible, our greeters, our verger, our hospitality people who bring wonderful treats, and Sarah, who's manning the YouTube. As we come to the close of our time together this morning, I invite you to carry with you the spirit of this hour and to come back to this space in about 15 minutes after you've had a chance to have some coffee and conversation to have our talkback session with today's speaker. I'll come around with the chime to let you know when it's time. And I will extinguish the chalice now and read these closing words. May Our Lives by Christine Rotherberg. May our lives be reflections of the beauty, peace, and joy that is possible in the world. And may the love we find in this place sustain us as we go our separate ways. Thank you for being here. Please join us for coffee and conversation in a little while.